So we now again have a new variant, which is presently airborne. Scientists in the news around the world are now scrambling to know more about this COVID-19 variant and basically looked at its impact worldwide, specifically to our daily lives, as we are supposed to slowly be back to our pre-pandemic lives. So what happened these past few weeks? And do we know more about this Omicron variant? Let's watch this. So what happened in these past few weeks is the news about this new COVID-19 mutation that is recently designated as the B.1.1.529. This new mutation was first discovered in Botswana on November 11 and was then quickly identified in South Africa 3 days later. Then it was identified in 2 cases in Hong Kong and has since spread to other countries in the recent days, including Belgium, Canada, Italy, and Australia, now reaching America, initially in San Francisco, and now with 5 cases of Omicron in New York City. So the dangerous issue with this new variant is that the B.1.1.529 has 32 mutations. When we speak of mutations, these are changes in the virus itself, specifically changes or mutations on the spike protein alone. Now, this is in comparison to the Delta strain, which had only 9 changes on the spike protein. And yet, we know that with the changes of the Delta variant, it became a dominant strain that became so transmissible that a lot of surges occurred worldwide. So the changes on the spike protein is important. Why? Because the spike is the key entry into the cells. It is through the spike protein that the virus can enter into the cell. So if you look closely at these mutations of this Omicron variant, you can clearly see here that different colors signify different mutations, and different mutations mean different scenarios. So it details that the capacity of this new strain to be potentially dangerous is very high. Because of these mutations, there's a possibility, or there is this link to increase transmissibility, and therefore it can give surges of COVID-19 anywhere in the world. Likewise, with the mutations, the strain may be able, this is what our fear is, to escape our vaccines or infection-induced immunity. And if this is true, this scenario may again overwhelm our healthcare system due to increased severity, resulting in increased hospitalization and death. And this is being seen right now based on the South Africa COVID update, where cases continue to surge and the number of patients in hospital rising, including ICU. We therefore need to know whether this mutation or this new mutant variant has the potential to do all these 3 scenarios. However, what we know so far, first, based on the 2 Hong Kong cases initially reported, is that this COVID-19 variant is actually, again, airborne, and that this mutation results in a very highly contagious scenario. In fact, in South Africa, for example, the test positivity rate increased from 1% to 30% in just 1 week. So in short, the real world scenario shows that there is really tripling of hospitalization in 2 weeks. So this Omicron variant can result in severe disease, resulting in more hospitalizations, specifically based on the epicenter data of Guangdong province in South Africa. In fact, they found out that there hospitalization increased from 135 hospital admissions to 418. Of note is that the rate in which these cases are spreading are really far higher than any of the previous variants. Therefore, we need to really be extra careful. So what is known so far of this variant is it is 500% more transmissible than the original virus. Remember that the Delta variant, which is up to now still the predominant virus that is affecting worldwide, is only 70% more transmissible compared to the original strain. Now, the good news of the Omicron variant that we know so far is that the variant can still be detected via PCR. So then we can still know that if this patient is infected or not, but it's genomic sequencing that will determine what kind of strain. Plus the fact we are able to catch this virus spreading early because of the early reports from our South African counterparts. So that as of now, we can see rapid reactions by different countries, some in fact closing the borders like Israel and Japan, and some countries like the Philippines reassessing their pandemic response, including re-evaluating their plan to reopen the country to foreigners supposed to be on December 1, now postponed to probably after December 15. Thereby, the early discovery of this mutation allowed countries to plan and prepare ahead. What's also very important that vaccine makers are now planning to tweak their vaccines to hopefully counter the spread of Omicron if needed, if it will really become a threat. For example, recently Moderna reported that their vaccine may not be as good enough vaccine against Omicron based on the high number of mutations and the protein spike the virus uses to infect human cells. Means that it was likely that the current crop of vaccines would need to be modified. However, Pfizer, on the other hand, claims that their vaccine can still likely protect people against severe COVID-19 due to the Omicron variant. Right now, lab tests are underway over the next 2 weeks to analyze the blood samples of people who already had 2 to 3 doses of the BioNTech Pfizer vaccine to see if the antibodies induced by the vaccination found in the blood can still inactivate Omicron, shedding light on whether new tweaking of the vaccines are indeed needed. On the other hand, Sinovac has also announced their plans to produce a vaccine that will specifically target Omicron if indeed it becomes a threat. So Chinese vaccine makers are confident that it can rapidly mass produce a version against the Omicron variant if needed, but only after regulatory approvals are obtained along with evidence that an updated vaccine is necessary. Do not try to speculate that this is a mild disease because remember, COVID-19 in general, majority presents with mild symptoms. What we don't like is the increased transmissibility of this virus and more likely to cause severe disease. So what do we need to do now to protect ourselves against this new variant? For me, this new variant will not change the way I do things. It will not change the way I tell my patients what to do. I'm used to my usual masking. If I use my surgical mask, I do double masking when I go out or use KN95. I will continue to strongly recommend vaccinations, including boosters for those who need them the most. Always to make sure that you avoid enclosed spaces without mask and that good ventilation should always be preferred. Always, therefore, protect others by isolating yourself if you develop some symptoms or you test positive. Likewise, if you have friends, relatives, or parents above the age of 60, and also for those who are immunocompromised, probably they should again postpone any plans of travel. These measures, as we know, are no longer new to us. They are no longer difficult for us to follow as we are so far after 2 years, now pretty used to this as the new normal. All we need to do is to continue what we are doing and keep following these safety protocols. For the meantime, we will now await for more data on this new variant and hope that it will not create a big impact on all of us, and hope that we will continue to be safe this coming Christmas. With that, I hope this helps alleviate some of your worries. Stay tuned, stay safe. Again, this is Dr. Jerry Tan. Thank you very much.